My name is James Gettin. I'm the president and CEO of JG Consulting. Welcome to the 2023 TASA Midwinter Conference here in Austin, Texas. My colleagues and I are meeting with sitting superintendents throughout this conference, asking them what types of challenges they're facing pre-pandemic and even post-pandemic. We're trying to understand what keeps them motivated in light of these challenges. Also, we want to know what words of wisdom they might impart on an aspiring superintendent. There's a mass exodus of superintendents, not only locally here in our great state of Texas, but across the country. So we want to know what is keeping these folks driven to serve the students in public education.
The challenge today versus pre-pandemic is the pandemic has made it okay to be mean in society. And typically, you can have some kind of civil discourse before COVID hit, and you can agree to disagree, you can have conversations, and everybody will just go along their way, but everybody will be nice and cordial. And after the pandemic, it's awakened this spirit of negativity, animosity, and so now you really have to make sure that people feel respected and have dignity, and you don't let that really turn how you behave once people approach you with that. So,
if I had to think about a challenge that pre-pandemic and now, I would say that truly the challenge is just building off the strengths that the district has. Pre-pandemic, we thought we knew what we were doing. Pandemic proved that we didn't know what we were doing, but now it's opportunity to build off the things that I like to call those pandemic privileges or perks that we're able to build on. Things like the whole virtual piece, flexible schedules, just allowing the community to come in a little bit more than we were pre-pandemic.
As we went into the pandemic and as we came out of it, we saw about a lot of learning loss. Mental health has gone through the roof. People's view on working, teacher shortages, just people working in education, those shortages are all over the nation. And then finally, you look with the rising costs, it's really put a stress on school systems. We got to now pick up kids from farther back than they've ever been. We got to balance budgets. We got to find people to stay in our school systems. And all of that, people are having these high expectations on the quick recovery. And so it has been a real stressor for our school system, and everybody's fighting for the same people and limited resources.
The greatest loss since the pandemic has been the loss in student achievement. We also have a lot of students that are now facing more social emotional issues. So that's been a huge challenge. In addition to the students, there's also the adults of the schools who serve the children. So there's a lot of loss there in terms of just people's ability and capacity to serve children in the schools.
the thing that keeps me motivated is knowing that I am responsible for the education of 42,000 kids. And that's a responsibility I don't take lightly, and I appreciate being given the responsibility. But that's what keeps me motivated, because I was that kid that needed an adult in his life to help him move forward. And so making sure that I can help 42,000 kids is a blessing to me.
So to stay motivated in this work truly is a daily challenge itself. But for me, I plan my calendar around one day a week going into our schools. And once I get to see the kids and the learning and the light bulbs going off, I'm good. I'm good with that. I know it just reminds me of my why, and it allows me to continue to do the work on behalf of our students.
You know, I've always been driven by opportunity of making things that seem impossible possible. The amount of thinking power that goes in today's school systems to be able to serve all our students, the ability to make sure that all our kids are being taught at the highest levels, recruiting the best teachers, all of that energizes me because it's purpose. And we have purpose in what we do. The rest seems irrelevant, because those strides that we make are going to be lasting impacts for the future generations of the kids that we're serving.
You know what, every day for me, I grew up poor. So every day for me, it's helping kids and just making sure that they get what they need, especially now in a world that, although we're better connected, kids also realize what they're missing out on in the world. And so our job in the schools is really now to make sure that they're emotionally ready and that they're have an opportunity to express themselves, which a lot of times they don't do. So that motivates me every day to get up and serve at what I do.
I think students keep me motivated. Watching students become successful in whatever endeavor that we happen to create for them. So it's really the success of our students ensuring the kids are successful. Constant motivation.
words of wisdom for aspiring superintendents, I would say, is that leadership is leadership, and that you should not listen to other people tell you what you can and cannot do, but you should absolutely lead with our kids in mind and lead with what their needs are first. And to me, that's always been a successful recipe when you allow the kids' needs to come before everyone else. That doesn't mean that you ignore the adults, but it does mean that your focus is on the main thing, and that's our kids.
Advice for any aspiring superintendent. Michael Hinojosa says, it ain't about you, but it is about you. So make sure that you get into the role because you want to serve and because you want to help. And if you want to get into the role because you want to make decisions and be the boss, wrong motivation. You get into the role because you want to help kids move forward, you want to help people move forward, and you want to make things better.
On any aspiring superintendent today?
If you're an aspiring superintendent, I would give you three things to think about. The first think about is your why, because you will always be tested in this role about really your purpose, and that's what's going to be your driving factor. In COVID, my why is getting these students back on track and performing even at greater heights than they did prior pandemic. It's a long, long road, but the why keeps me going. The second thing that you have to do is balance your life. If you don't have balanced life, you're not going to be effective. Your health will deteriorate, even your personality will change. Find that balance, whether it's spiritual, if it's fitness, just find balance in your life because the job can consume you. And the third thing is surround yourself with people that have been through it. No one rose alone in life. And so the more you're surrounded by people that can help you through the tough times, the better outcomes you'll have.
All right, last thing is just...
So what I would tell superintendents is make sure that you continue to want to serve and support students. Students are the number one thing that we have. They're our number one asset. Making sure that you also take care of your mental health and your spiritual health so that you can do the work that we do as superintendents, which is to help students every day in the schools and with their families.